This week we're going to change things up a little bit and go over some of our favourite cars that we built here, probably over spanning the last 10 years, some of the biggest builds. We're going to be going over things like the Ford F1 truck, Ferrari F12, two Ferrari F12s that we've done, Austin A35 van, my Volkswagen Beetle, road legal drag car, Diablo, various Beetles, my Carmen gear, the green Carmen gear. There's a ton, 20 cars in total, so stay tuned. This is going to be a good one. Right, so starting things off with the Ford F1 truck. Now, this is one of my favorite builds. It's done so well at the shows throughout the UK. I mean, it's won Best in Show at Gravity, Best in Show at Tucked, Top 10 at Fitted. What else has it won? Top 10 at the National Hot Rod Awards. It's done brilliantly. It really has. But it was never meant to be that good. It was always meant to be just a driver, something that guys could just jump in and just enjoy. Now, because every part on that is brand new, it was just always too nice. It's an as new truck, built to our usual high spec, you know. So starting off, the chassis was all boxed. That's all been powder coated. What we've done a Coyote engine in there as well. So it's like a 5-litre V8 engine in there. Fuel injection, automatic gearbox. The dashboard's been subtly modified. Everywhere is subtly modified. Wooden deck in the back, new fuel tank, 4-pot brakes all around, Willwood brakes. Got the custom wheels, made to spec wheels. What else have we got? Air ride suspension, perfect paint on there, beautiful leather interior. Stereo is kicker, really is a good sound stereo. Every part on that is new, every single part. Custom exhaust, side exit exhaust underneath the running boards. It's got it all. It really has. One of my favorite builds for sure. The funky Phantom VW Beetle. Now, if you're into the UK VW scene, drag racing scene, you'll probably know that car from years back. It was built probably over 30 years ago now by Wayne Ullman of the Intergalactic Custom Shop. Now, I've known Wayne for years now, from the drag racing days back when. Cool, iconic car. It was purple, had gold flames on it, big V8, big block in the front. Long story short, that was sold to a friend of ours. It got smashed, it got rebuilt. The engine, Ford Motor Racing engine, that broke. Anyway, that got put away for quite a while. The thing was just covered in micro blisters from this new paint job. It just went black. So the only thing we could do was strip it right back to metal. Now, it was built a long time ago by Wayne. He did the roof job on it, he did everything, he built the whole car. It was trick as you like. In the end, obviously you have every option open to you. Do we put it back to original? Do we just do black, or do we do our own thing to it? The owner wanted to do his own thing, so I gave him a few little ideas, and we went with full candy paint and 2 sets of flames, which was, it pushed my skill set, I'll be honest. It was about 3 days worth of just masking flames. And putting flames on a Volkswagen Beetle isn't the easiest shape to do. I must admit, it's easy on a flat car, square car. There's lots of shapes, obviously, with the Volkswagen Beetle. And the flames all have to flow, and I wanted them down the side of the car as well. And it just looks absolutely awesome. It's won Best Paint. It's won the top 10 at the Volkswagen show. It did really well. Definitely one of my favourite paint jobs we've ever done. One of my favourite hot rods cars that we've ever done here. Now we have the Lamborghini Diablo. Now, I really want to get into more of the supercar builds, restorations, the customizing. So it was really cool to be asked to do the can runs, Ferrari F12, wide body. I would do those kind of cars all day long if we could. This Diablo is also owned by the Can Run, and was the second one, obviously, car that they asked us to do. Now, we went to see this car at another shop. They've stripped it down. So it's just a shell when we got it. The paint on it was blistered, parts were cracked, this, that, and the other. It was feeling sorry for itself. So the only thing we could do, get it in, strip it all the way back to the aluminium shell. Took all the original paint off it. The bumpers have been painted, if I remember right, probably about 8 times, that front bumper. Multiple colors, yeah, got cracks in it, this, that, and the other. That took a lot of work to get right. Of course, then you've got to start from scratch, epoxy prime it, panel beat all the dents out where you can, basically just do a high-end restoration on it. Of course, it's a Lamborghini Diablo. It's worth a lot of money. So there were no corners cut on the restoration, the body restoration of this. But yeah, that was a beautiful car. It came out of here just, I mean, it's so wide. It's a crazy wide car. very simply made as well. When you see the skeleton of it, I mean, the way they used to build supercars back in the day is a lot obviously different than they build it now. Small box section framework to hold the chassis in place. It's kind of funny because you look at the old supercars and they're so simple. You look at some of them really old cars and it's almost like someone's built them in the shed, if I'm honest. They're not built brilliant quality, but they're so rare and so good looking. Huge engines, big power for what they had in the day, and just iconic cars. So yeah, we made sure that was absolutely mint. It had new glass in it, new seals, gorgeous car. The Austin A35 van. Now this was a difficult build. It really was. Now this car was one of the reasons I wanted to do this car, and I will do most cars providing they're interesting or whatever, you know, that they get our brains thinking, you know, I love that kind of stuff. And this one came in, it was bright yellow when it came in. And it was a nice story behind it, if you can say it's a nice story. The owner of it now and his dad built this and played with it and modified it. It was their project. Unfortunately, the guy's dad passed away. So he's going to own this car forever. He wanted it restored. So it was just dead nice to do it for a nice family. You know, they're going to keep it forever. Huge sentimental value in this, which is why it was nice car to do for them. A lot of it wasn't great the way it had been done, but we didn't want to rebuild it, re-engineer it. We just wanted to restore it because that's the car that they had and they wanted to keep it like that as much as possible. But we started out doing bare metal repaint. Then we ended up stripping all the parts out. Then it was, can we do the underneath? So that was an afterthought as well. If we'd have had a full plan from the start, which is the way I always like to work these projects, we would have stripped it, acid dipped it, and built it a lot easier. So it was a difficult build in that it was always a back step slightly. It wasn't fully planned out from day one. But I get it, you know, the nicer it looked, it was like, we can't leave that, we shouldn't leave that, and let's just do it all in the end, you know, because it came out looking so nice. And the one thing I didn't want to do was paint it yellow. I said to the owner, you're spending a lot of money on this car. It needs to look different, so you need to jump in it and feel like you're driving a fully restored new car, you know. I always thought that we could have done a slightly better job, a little bit easier had we had a plan from the day one. It looks awesome. So yeah, customer's super happy and that will never be sold. Right, so now onto my common gear, which is actually sat right behind me. I love this thing. So when I was looking for this, when I was actually looking for Datsun 240Z, I couldn't find one for what I wanted to spend, and I found this, and it was less money than I was going to spend on the Datsun, but it was more of a project, you know. So I thought, well, that's great. We'll put it in the corner. When I get quiet, I'll work on this, and we never got quiet. So it took 6 years to build this car in spare time and some workshop time as well when we got some of the big work to do. But when we bought it, I knew it was always going to be a big project. You could sit in it and see the floor. You know, it needed new floor pans. It needed various bits and pieces, but the plan was always to leave it patina, you know, not have it perfect paint. White leather in the engine bay as well. It's probably a stupid idea, but it looks cool. And actually that's ceramic coated leather as well. So ceramic coated the leather. So that just wipes clean. Any oil, mist, vapor wipes straight off. So that looks dead cool. But yeah, the floor pan, the chassis, it was all done to show condition. Everything was painted up in like a matte bronze color. If ever anybody one day wants to restore the body, because this will be for sale next year, you could lift up the body, restore the body, put it straight back on that floor pan, and you've got a full show car. Something I've always wanted. Glad I've done it, glad I've built it. I've driven it to quite a few shows this year, won a few awards with it. So yeah, nice little cruiser. This is a cool car. I'm really happy that we got to do this for a good friend of mine, Chiro, who owns Petrol Hedonism. Now, years ago, before we started getting into all these big car shows, known since 2017, we got together through our love of Volkswagens. His first car was a Volkswagen Beetle, and he always said before he's 50, this was a few years ago, before he's 50, he's going to get me to build him a car. So he's not even 50 yet. So it was really cool. We built this for him. Not the full car, it was more of a subtle restoration, more of a body restoration. So it's a 450 SLC. We made it like call it a gangster lowrider. It came to us with a normal paint job. It was blue, standard looking car. It had an air ride on it, but we wanted to do, or Chiro wanted to do two-tone paint. Now I didn't think it would work, I'll be honest. I would have just done it one colour, just made it look super cool, super smooth. He wanted the two-tone, and to be fair, it works. He was right. We got the pinstripe done to separate the two colours as well, which matches the wheels. Got rid of the door handles. Now that was a bit of a faff. Yeah, it worked perfectly for the million times we popped those doors open when it was here. As soon as he gets it back, solenoids fail, don't they? So we uprated those solenoids, put different solenoids on there, and they're still good. He had a faff, locked the keys in the car as well, so that was a long story. Yeah, so if you put solenoid doors or, you know, get rid of your handles on your car, put solenoids on there. Always have a spare key. Trick of the day. It's come out really well. A lot of people in the UK probably will have seen that at one of his shows. It really is a cool car. Super happy we got to do that for him as well. And yeah, this year he's getting the interior done, which is that finishing touch. So can't wait to see that. Right, so next up, we got the Ferrari F12. Now, this came to us as a standard left-hand drive owned by the Cannon Run. Now, we'd been following each other on Instagram and the socials for probably a year or two before that. Got chatting. They wanted to customize their Ferrari F12 left-hand drive because they do a lot of European trips. But what we did was put a Duke Dynamics carbon fiber wide arch kit on that. Now that consists of most of the front end of the car, literally the full front end. So front wings, they're all oversized, probably by about 4 inches either side, if I remember correctly. Carbon fiber bonnet, bumper, it's a multi-piece front bumper as well, splitters, everything. We've got custom wheels on there, carbon fiber rear bumper, rear spoiler, and the arches, rear over arches. Now they're all bonded on, flushed in, so it looks, in my eyes, as if Ferrari had built it. We had to get the panel gaps perfect. That body kit, as nice as it was, everything was made slightly oversized, so you had to trim it all the way back, and you've only got one go at that. So that was nerve-wracking, tricky, time-consuming, but we nailed it. Carbon looks awesome. We always wanted to keep it red. I did have the ideas of doing it pearl white, which would have looked pretty trick, but it's a Ferrari. It needed to stay, as it Rosso Corsa red, true Italian style, nice cream leather interior, obviously bodyworks, painted it to full show condition. That is a gorgeous car, absolutely gorgeous car. Now we actually got, the good thing with this one, actually got to deliver it to them on their spring run a few years ago now. So we finished it here. They debuted it at their spring run. So actually drove it about 2.5, 3 hours to the south coast, debuted it there. Jay drove it around all weekend, gave me the keys to his GT3 RS, was absolutely awesome. So myself and my brother got to drive around, or I drove it. He was a passenger in the GT3 RS. Did the spring break with them all weekend and got to bring the Ferrari back home and finished it off. Full show condition paint job on that. It still looks awesome to this day. If I believe right now, it's living in Marbella with another owner. But man, definitely is one of my dream cars. And if I won the lottery, I'd go and build one tomorrow. So awesome car. So go check that one out.
If you could keep any car, would you keep that one?
Yeah, man, definitely. That's such a nice car, honestly. My own Volkswagen Beetle. Now, I owned this one for about 19 years before I eventually sold it. I think I bought that when I was about 18, if I remember right, from the Volkswagen show. It was pink when I bought it. Yep. It looked cool. A really nice car. Freshly finished restoration when I bought it, so it was mint. That was my daily driver for about three or 4 years. The engine kept letting go. So, and we were one of the first back in the day, 20 odd years ago, to start putting Subaru engines in. Actually got in touch with a good mate of mine now, Andy Raw. He was drag racing at the time, which got me into drag racing, and then that spiraled out of control. I then decided to go and put a turbo engine in my car because the adapter plate and everything was already there. Now that's 280, 300 brake horsepower in the back of a Volkswagen Beetle. So yes, we broke things. I was drag racing it, driving it to the strip, driving it back, sometimes driving it back, a lot of the time on the back of a recovery truck. Eventually I stripped the whole car back, repainted it in a burnt orange color, spoiler on the back, redid all the interior, put nitrous in the back, still fully road legal. I think they got like best of it 11 second quarter mile back then. And then I started this company. That's when I thought, right, let's strip the car. Most people in the Volkswagen scene and the drag racing scene knew me. And that's how I grew this business off the back of that. Everything was done to show condition. The chassis was painted underneath, painted inside, hidden seat mounts, Jazz aluminium racing seats. So it was basically a race car for the street. It was mint. I love that car. It lives in Ireland now. I didn't want to sell it, but I didn't want to race it still because it was too nice. It was too nice to use. It had a full leather interior in it. And of course, with the racing, every time you race, you're potentially smashing your car up, potentially breaking something. And running this business, having a young family, it had to stop. And I didn't just want to keep showing that same car. So eventually I sold it, but that car, absolutely gorgeous. It took too much of my life, if I'm honest. I'm where I'm at now with the business because of that car. I learned a lot from that car, really did. So it's a weird one. If I didn't have it, I probably wouldn't have this shop, if I'm honest. And I wouldn't know everything I know now because it taught me a lot. So I sold it at the right time. Do I miss it? I'm not too sure. I miss the look of it. I don't miss the maintenance. I must admit, don't have time for it. But yeah, definitely one of my favorite cars. Owned that car for like, say, 19, 20 years. And it was mint. So I'm sure I'll see it again some point. Right, so this car is owned by my good friend, Andrew Moore. I've known this guy for years. This is the guy that got me into drag racing back when and does all the Subaru engines on Beetles and Cam fans and this, that, and the other. Now, this car was the third car I ever painted when I started this business. Now, I knew Andy from before I even started this business. I started this place, got the paint booth and this, that, and the other. He knew that I'd built really nice cars for myself before I owned this place. He was just, can you paint it, design a color for it? And I said, okay, it's a fiberglass stretched shell of an old Volkswagen dragster called Outrage. He didn't give me any tips or clues or anything, what colors he wanted, but his colors on his website were black and orange. So I was like, okay, I'll stick with black and orange. I did a little sketch of the flames and I said, do you like that? Just a sketch basically. And he's like, yeah, let's go for that. Prepped it all, primed it twice, blocked that back, painted it black base coat. And I'm going to do orange pearl flames all over it. So of course, there was a lot of masking. I'd never masked flames before, but I know I could do it. It's just time. Now, the back of that car is where it really stands out, I think, because the flames wrap over the roof and just go right down the back because there's a fake back window, if you like, so all that could be paint. So that took hours, if not days, to mask that out. Masked the whole car. Painted the orange, of course, lacquered it all out. Load of lacquer to bury it all. And then the pinstriping came. Now, I'd never even pinstriped before as well, so it's the first time I'd ever pinstriped as well. And bear in mind, this is the third car I've ever painted. Full-on flame job. I think I finished about 2 o'clock in the morning the day before, and he was going to come and pick it up. So he came up to the workshop. I've got it in the spray booth at the time, and I almost made him cry. So it was a wicked reaction, because he didn't know what to expect. I'd give him no photos. I hadn't showed anybody anything, so he came up, we collected it. Day after, we took it to the Vauxhall show. There was no engine in it. It was an unfinished car, it was just on a rolling chassis. Body down, and he won a Visitor's Choice Award. Since he's gone to bigger things, that had a different engine in it. It's gone to bigger things now, and it's with a new owner, with a new engine in it. Hopefully be out soon again racing. All right, so here we have another one of my favorites. Now, this is a Porsche 356B. I say this a lot. It's absolutely beautiful. It really is. It came out so nice. This car actually looked nice when it came to us. It was silver. It looked pretty cool. It's kind of like a road race theme going on, stickers and a light on the dashboard and for like map reading and stuff. It looked kind of cool, but the owner wanted to have like an outlaw look to it. Nicely restored an outlaw look. It was terrible. It was in a bad way. I actually thought at one point the owner would scrap the car. I really did think it was that bad. But no, he put the money into it, and literally the whole front end of the car is new. Literally the whole front end. I think we saved the bonnet, if I remember right. The front wings, the well at the front, all the front end, all that is brand new. Now, the one good thing with that car was the engine. It had a 1.6 litre built engine, so I think it had a bit of a mild cam in it. It had been worked, had a bit of money spent on the engine. So we put up a different performance exhaust on it, and it just drove so nice. It really was such a nice car to drive. The interior was such a comfortable place to be. It was so nice. I designed some door cards for it with a satchel type pocket for it to give it the old school theme, but you know, a bit of an outlaw look to it as well. Painted it in slate grey. It suits those cars so well. Again, he had everything. There's no money spared on that. It was such a nice build, and unfortunately, Not unfortunately for me, but the owner decided to sell it before he even bothered using it.
Are you serious?
Not sure why. I think he changes his mind a lot with the cars, changes his cars around a lot. So yeah, I think he just lost interest, sold it, but I've seen it again since, and I think it's sold twice now. Such a cool car, and definitely, I mean, if we could build more 356s here, I would be very happy. Gorgeous car. Definitely one of my favorites. Right, so there we have it. 10 of the best, or my favorite cars that we've done throughout the years. Now, there's going to be another 10, and we could probably do another 10, but for now, we're going to stick to top 20. You got 10 now. You got 10 coming next week as well. So stick around, subscribe, like, all the rest of it, and we'll see you next week.